Yes. Football preview time, baby. Alan, it's right around the corner.
Training camp is around the corner.
Let's fucking go, man.
Oh, man.
A lot of a different kind of football. Now we're coming into
I know
NFL
the
football.
transition after a major tournament is always a challenge, but I think once August hits and you start getting those hourly updates about training camp, you get the fantasy stuff, it's like, all right, I guess we're getting back into full swing.
This is something we've been doing for a couple of years here at VM. It's a nice way to get us through the dog days of summer. Usually start this a little bit earlier, but because of the international soccer tournament, it was cool to not start this yet. It's division previews, but we do it a little bit different here. We're not going to give you picks. We're not going to tell you win totals and shit like that. We're just going to look at every team in the division, and we're going to give you the biggest storyline, player to watch, addition, subtraction. And we're going to start with your favorite division, the team that your favorite team. Well, it's not really your favorite division, but your favorite team plays in that division. NFC South.
To me, the division that doesn't get, well, before Brady came, didn't get much national recognition. Now it's on almost every week. The Tom Brady effect is real. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And you know, like you're looking at teams who, not for nothing, man, it's been a pretty successful division the last decade.
The balance is just ridiculous until I think, because the whole branch out started, 2003 with the Texans?
Yep.
And then until Carolina won it from 13 to 15, there was never a repeat winner.
Right.
So it took a decade for a team to win a division twice, and then Carolina did it 3 years in a row.
Yeah, and then you're talking about a Falcons Super Bowl appearance, a
Saints consistently,
NFC title games, Panthers Super Bowl appearance, also another team that will make some playoff runs, and then obviously you get Brady, defending champions too. So you're talking about a division that has had some success. A lot of, top records in the NFC, bye weeks and shit. So what we're going to do now, real quick, a plug for the Patreon. For each team, we're doing individual additions, subtractions. Some are going to overlap, but for these, we're doing just outlook of the whole division. Right. So I want to preface that. Let's start with this general conversation. What is your feeling about the NFC South?
For the first time in maybe ever, but at least in a long time, the balance is gone. I feel that the Bucs returning all their starters, how can they not be the favorite? And given the little bit of uncertainty in New Orleans, just how they're going to look offensively. And I think now their cap limitations, like this is the first offseason where the Saints haven't really added anybody. Like there's no huge veteran addition. Like, whoa, they got him. I think the cap situation finally affected them. Atlanta's in rebuild mode, and Carolina's still kind of trying to find their identity, even though there's a lot of exciting pieces there. So to me, this is Tampa's division, and then whoever team comes out might challenge for a wild card spot. But I think if you're looking at all 8 divisions, I think if you're looking for a true number one favorite, I think it's got to be Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think so. And also, one thing that's really interesting, the Bucs really got going after their bye week last year. Won 8 straight, all the way to the Super Bowl. And one thing with Tom Brady and his offense is it's very timely. It's, 3-step drops, ball comes out quick, he knows where receivers are. Last year, he goes to a new system, new players, doesn't really have the timing down. That's why I like that first 1 or 2 games that Antonio Brown came back. He had 12 targets and shit. Yeah. It's like, what the hell? This guy just came off the park bench and he's playing. Yeah.
And let's not forget the injuries though with Godwin.
Right,
Evans
Godwin
both.
missed a lot of time too. Evans also
came into season with a hamstring problem.
Right. I traded for Godwin like an asshole, and ultimately cost me my fantasy championship. But that's a different conversation. Brady now is going to coming off the Super Bowl, is going to have a full off season with these guys. Knows these guys. I think this is going to be a team that's going to come out the gates firing, guns blazing. But they do have a pretty interesting schedule to start off. But besides the point, I agree with you with the Bucs. I think they are the storyline, returning all 22 starters as well. That's really fascinating. But let's get into this one. Let's start with the biggest addition in the NFC South. And look, there are some obvious ones that we're going to agree on. Mostly subtraction when we get to that. If you guys have been listening to the show for all these years, you know who I'm talking about. But addition, Alan, start us off. What do you think is the biggest addition in the NFC South?
It's got to be Sam Darnold.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Right. I think some people might give consideration to Mike Davis because Mike Davis had quietly a very good season for Carolina. I think he's going to do some solid work with Atlanta. I don't think it's going to lead to much overall success. I think it's going to put up good production. But
Dominic called him 75% CMC.
They're totally different players.
No, I know, but it was like because in fantasy, right? Like I traded Dominic for Christian McCaffrey, and he had Mike Davis,
right.
and he would call him Mikey Baby.
Yeah.
And Mike Davis was scoring like 15, 20 point games.
Monster calves. Like you look at his calves are humongous. But I think he's a solid addition. And I think with Arthur Smith's offense, he could do some damage. But if you're looking at a thing that's going to make the most impact, it's got to be Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, for me, it was also Sam Darnold. And the reason why is because I think we need to take into consideration the situation that he was with the Jets. The talent that he's coming into in this system is phenomenal. And they lose Curtis Samuel, but they still have 2,000-yard receivers. Guess what? I think another addition you could say to the NFC South is getting back Christian McCaffrey, who played 2.5 games last year.
That security blanket. Ooh.
Oh, man. Dude's caught, like, I think he broke the catch record for a running back. Well, he said it, and then he broke it the year after. Right? Dude's an absolute stallion, and, shout out to Miss Universe, Olivia Culpo, great girl. But McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, who he has a lot of good chemistry with. You have DJ Moore, who I think DJ Moore is in position.
I'm waiting for that breaking. I've always been very high.
The year 3 breakout. It always happens with wide receivers. It is year 3 for him, right?
I believe so.
And a defense that is better than what the Jets had with him. And I think the defense...
Not saying much.
Not saying much. Yeah. But I think this defense is a year away from us being like, they could be a potential, top 12 to 13 defense.
Really? I think that they're still ways away. But besides Brian Burns, I'm intrigued by J.C. Horn. I know that they signed Hassan Reddick too.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is there. I feel like
I like the Brown from Auburn.
Okay, D tackle, yeah.
He's going into his second year. But look, they also drafted Terence Marshall from LSU, who just the fact that he's from LSU, I'm like, guy probably going to get like 700 yards at one point, be a nice number 3 wide receiver. But for me, Sam Darnold, we're going to find out very quickly if he's damaged goods or if he's away from Adam Gase. I see a lot of Ryan Tannehill in him, though Ryan Tannehill had more success in Miami than what Sam Darnold did.
Right. Darnold's also very athletic. People... the way he escapes pressure sometimes. It's just, I think it all comes down to decision making. I think Darnold was just always pressing with the Jets. And also the punishment he took there.
Right. And one thing that we saw with him, we've seen with Daniel Jones, is if you throw a lot of picks in college, you're going to throw a lot of picks in the NFL. It's not something you just cut out.
You got the offense on Matt Rule and Joe Brady. I think that offensive system really should benefit him. Just give him he just needs a situation where they're more easier positioned. He needs to be put in more advantageous situations because it just seemed with the Jets, he was always down 2 scores. He was always in 3rd and long situations. Let's see this guy, apply play action more often, get him more empty sets, try to just get those quick completions to players that actually do damage. He needs players that could actually do stuff after a catch, to actually, inflate his stats a little bit. He has a chemistry with Robbie, which helps. I know you're big on that. Him and Robbie Anderson have that huge rapport.
Oh, dude, telling you right now, my stack week 1, Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson against the Jets.
Oh, man.
You know me in revenge games.
That's a big one, too, man, because the free Robbie movement was strong for a good 2-3 years.
Yep.
So, and if you want to look at from, upgrade standpoint, I just think Teddy Bridgewater is just too conservative, and he just never pushed the ball downfield. And there was clear limitations with Teddy Bridgewater. As great as the story was, I think Darnold at least provides more, not just upside, just more abilities to stretch the field, get the ball downfield, because Carolina has legitimate explosiveness, and they were held back last year. Even though they put up great numbers, they were held back by Teddy B's legitimate limitations. So I'm intrigued by this movie, even though there are statistics that kind of make me a little hesitant on Darnold, just based on PFF, just showing even through a clean pocket, his numbers were pretty bad. I just want to see a fresh start. Coaching staff, playmakers, let's do this.
Yeah,
that's my whole thought process with Sam Darnold at this point.
Hey man, he's younger than Joe Burrow. He's younger than a lot of the guys that have been drafted since he got drafted. So let's see, it's an ultimate buy low situation. Yeah. They didn't give up anything too crazy for him. So
not all. Yeah.
Why not take the risk? Subtraction.
He used to have a little picture here.
Look,
he used to be a king in a wonderful city.
Right. Julio Jones is obviously the subtraction. If you want to say why and get like into it more, that's fine. I picked someone else just because I didn't want this to be like, you know, the layup choice that it was.
Because I think Trey Hendrickson was a big loss to New Orleans. And look, even though he was kind of average liability last year, Drew Brees will be discussed as well.
Right.
But as for Julio Jones, it's just you're talking about still arguably the most terrifying receiver. Nobody wants to cover him. It's just a player that you always have to account for, who opens up a lot of space, whether it's short, deep, intermediate. He just makes players around him better. And, you know, having that chemistry with Matt Ryan for over a decade, it's a huge loss for the Falcons and how they move forward. Like, I think Calvin Ridley will be fine because Calvin Ridley's had time to play without Julio. I think it was like 9 games last year, and I think he's that good of a talent where I don't think he'll be affected too much. I think it's just more from just the Matt Ryan and overall franchise standpoint, because it's just they need all the firepower because this defense is not going to be good, and Matt Ryan has not played well over the past 2 years. So just all these things combined, it's just a lot of pressure on the Falcons. Like, can they score enough points? And without Julio, you're talking about a player that I think not just yards per route run, because he had that statistic for about 4 years. I think he led, like, from 2015 to 2019, the most first downs out of wide receivers. Like, he's someone that could do, like, you give him a little quick slant, he turns 6 yards into 12 yards. Like, he is a first down machine. And it's just so valuable, especially on like a 3rd and 8, just boom right there. So he just does so much for that offense. There's no one that can replace it. So, yeah, I think by far he's the biggest loss.
The Falcons play a London game against the Jets. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's a really random matchup. And
random.
A lot of my boys are Jet fans.
And
it's going to be a random
Week 3, we got to make a wager. Falcons at Giants.
I guess so.
All right. For me, subtraction, excluding Julio, excluding Drew Brees, Tampa Bay didn't really lose anyone of note. Yeah. I think Curtis Samuel's big.
So you would take Curtis Samuel or Trey Hendrickson? Because Trey Hendrickson had a really good year for New Orleans last year.
He did, for sure. And the reason why I say that is because when you factor in bringing Sam Darnold into the fold, I think for a young quarterback who had no weapons, having more weapons never hurts, right? And you had 3 wide receivers go over 1,000 yards, which is very impressive. I don't remember the last time that's happened. I'd have to go and look. The only one that I can think of that got close maybe is that Denver team. With
Decker, Thomas, and Samuel? Not Samuel, Sanders.
Sanders, yeah. Like those kind of teams there. But, you know, or no, I'm thinking about Julius Thomas too, like the tight end.
Oh, I was saying Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Emmanuel Sanders.
No, I think Sanders came in after Decker left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
I don't think Julius Thomas ever got near 1,000 yards. He was
Wes Welker, maybe?
Guy. No, was he on Denver? I think he was. I was going to say Brandon Stokely. There was no way it was Brandon
Broncos
Stokely.
2013 when he threw.
That was a ridiculous season.
Yeah.
Was Welker on that team?
Adam Gase, the OC, tremendous.
Oh, man, that's his resume right there.
Yo, no Sean Moreno, bro.
Oh, that GIF.
That's when they drafted Monty Ball, and he was like everyone's darling, and then no Sean came out of nowhere. Real quick, let me just find the receiving.
We know it was Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker.
Why is it okay? Decker 1288, Thomas 1430, Welker 778, Julius Thomas 788.
Welker was there. Damn,
yeah, Welker caught 73 passes. Interesting, but yeah. So I think Curtis Samuel, man. I think he was another guy who people were really. I know in the fantasy community was a guy who people were expecting a big breakout, and it finally came.
Let's not forget what he brings as a runner too. He creates a lot of.
He's everything there. Percy Harvin should have been.
Yeah. Although I think Percy had the more highlight reel moments.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel was great talent. Just Percy Harvin, like he was a true game changer.
I'll stand by it. 2009 Percy Harvin, best offensive player I've ever seen.
And it was with Adrian Peterson too.
And the last.
Anytime the 09 Vikings come, I just get so like they were so magical, but I just get so down, dude, because it's just like, dude, they should.
Percy Harvin was.
They
so
should have won the Super Bowl, man.
So fun to watch.
Favre, why'd you throw that ball?
Yeah,
that hurts, man.
I didn't do this on purpose, but my biggest storyline has to do with the Panthers. And I picked the Panther for addition. I picked the Panther for subtraction. And I'm picking this storyline, and here's why.
I'm curious, yeah.
The selection of Jason Horn needs to work, and I think the decision to go with Darnold needs to work. When you factor in the idea of having Justin Fields there too, and also like last 2 years, look at what they did. They didn't pay Bradbury, who was a top 5 corner last year for the Giants. Remember, I was making the case like week 7, 8. I'm like, yo, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but let's understand that he's having a fucking amazing season. Yeah, it was elite. He
solidified himself.
So you elect not to pay Bradbury. He leaves, right? So you need a corner. You pay Bridgewater, then you get rid of him. And then you draft a corner and you trade to bring in a quarterback. So for me, it's like you need to hit on these guys, especially when you factor in what Bradbury has turned out to be. And also, dude, the game has changed so much where I feel like what the Giants did this offseason is they went after corners and DBs. I think the game now has changed where you need to have 4 or 5 DBs that can make plays and can guard people all over the field. Yeah. And you look at that division, Calvin Ridley, Michael Thomas, the fucking 3 stud wide receivers that Tampa Bay has. Jason Horn's not he's going to step in and have to, ball out. Yeah. So I think that decision is a big storyline for me. What happens between Darnold and J.C. Horn?
Yeah, because you're talking about the next 2-3 years with everything that's up in Carolina, because they had a top 10 pick, and that's what they elected to do.
And also, Matt Rule signed the 5-year contract, and he came in knowing that he had time to build what he wanted to build. And now you have it. Look, you went out and you got Bridgewater. You didn't like that. Now you made the decision to go and get Darnold.
You made a very strong. I was skeptical at first, but now it's like, wow, okay,
it's a trickle-down effect of a lot of things that went down in Carolina.
And it's all very fascinating, just how it all came together.
Yeah, and Bradbury's still look, we were singing his praises, and he wasn't a guy who's like 30. He's not Stephon Gilmore where you're like, right now, do I want to pay Stephon Gilmore?
No, but Carolina needs, their defense was bomb 5 last year. They need all, besides, like I mentioned, besides Brian Birds, who I think is the next great young edge rusher that's coming up, and we'll see what Brown. But besides that, that defense is just flat out bad. So
what's the number one thing every draft expert always says about when you draft players? It's like you draft players to win your division, to compete with teams in your division. Right. And you're talking about the wide receivers in the South. It's no. You're gonna get 6 matchups a year where you're like, fuck, man. Yeah. There's no letting up. Yeah. So that was for me. What's your biggest storyline in the division?
This was easy for me. It has to be how the Saints are gonna look offensively.
That's a good one.
To me, it's just, I'm so fascinated by that. Like, how is Jameis going to transition? Taysom Hill is not going away. They're going to fit snaps in there. How much of it? That's the big question, because Sean Payton's not going to give that up. I think now it's a matter of managing it better. Like, okay, because I thought at times last year, Sean Payton, the way they used Taysom Hill, it was a lot of third down, and it backfired several times. And sometimes even on first down, they put him in second long situation. So I think they got to figure out a better way to utilize Taysom Hill if they're really still committed to this. I'm not personally a fan of it, but it's led to success at times. But now they got to get better manager, and we got to see how Jameis Winston looks. I don't know what's going to happen in this offense, because they haven't really added anyone due to the cap situation, but it seems like every year a young player emerges offensively. Someone you never heard of just comes out of nowhere and breaks out. But could that be the Drew Brees, Sean Payton effect or not? Time will tell. But I'm very fast to see how this offense could look. And another thing you have to take into account, Drew Brees and Michael Thomas had amazing chemistry. And Jameis Winston's not the most accurate thrower, particularly on short to intermediate throws. We know Michael Thomas isn't a vertical threat. So how is the chemistry going to be between Winston and Michael Thomas? That's another thing you have to look at, because Thomas is still going to get his targets. Sean Payton will funnel the ball to him. So I think the Saints are one of the most interesting teams in the period in the NFL, just because you're replacing a legend who, okay, yes, he was not very good last year, but still, this is a huge change after, 15 years? And you're using with one of the most frustrating, chaotic,
I talked about interceptions in college. This dude is the 30-30 club, never been done before.
I just wonder how much patience Sean Payton's got, because Sean Payton's a fiery coach, and look, he's an offensive mastermind. I'm sure he's going to put Jameis Winston in great situations, in positions to succeed, high percentage throws. But there's going to be times Jameis Winston's going to have to make plays, and it's just, how is this offense going to look? Especially they're probably going to have a tough schedule because they won the division.
People forget that. Tampa Bay was on the road.
So it's going to be a hard schedule, and I can't wait to see it.
I'm fascinated to see if this Saints offense became so dump the ball off heavy because Breeze was shot. I wonder if we see slant boy be post boy, right? Like run a couple deeper routes or what else they could do. So I think that's a good one, man. I'm fascinated by that. Let's wrap up with the player to watch. Now, there's a rule here. You can't tell us Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. Like, you got to give us someone sort of low-key that you're looking at.
I don't think he's low-key on that, I guess, NFL insider scale, but he's getting a lot of off-season praise. I'm curious to see how Devin White continues to play. So I saw a poll. I don't know. I think it was like ESPN interviewed like 20 different executives, and they considered Devin White to be the best linebacker in the league, which I found to be pretty shocking because I don't think he's the best linebacker on his team. That's how good I think Levante David is. That's not a slight on Devin White. But he definitely emerged last year, Devin White. I think his first year was a little sketchy, but second year, like he's just one of those classic linebackers that you want, like those 3-down linebackers that just have endless range.
You know who he reminds me of a lot?
They're running a 4-4.
I think this might get you excited. Patrick Willis.
Really?
Yeah, you don't see it? As far as versatility and being
he's a little more undersized because I think Patrick Willis was.
He was big. He was big. Yeah, you're right.
Patrick
Bowman maybe.
Could be. Like I think I put Patrick Willis and Bobby Wagner in like a similar category. These guys are just real massive linebackers. They don't miss tackles. The big problem with Devin White is he misses a lot of tackles.
You swung me.
Yeah, Devin White misses too many tackles. I think that's his concern. But he just adds so much from a coverage standpoint, and he forced a lot of turnovers. Like he was a big part of their defensive success last year. And I just want to see Kenny continue because I think there's going to be added pressure on him. And considering all this praise, can he be up there with the likes of Bobby Wagner, Darius Leonard, Fred Warner? You know, time will tell us all. I was going to pick someone from that Tampa Bay defense because I was so impressed by them last year. Like, you could go maybe Antoine Winfield, who is really emerging. But, you know, I want to see what Devin White could do because ultimately he is one of those main two inside linebackers, and he's not going to lead the field. So I'm excited about that.
I like that. That's a nice call. Player to watch. I'm picking a guy on your team, and I'm picking a rookie. I'm going with Kyle Pitts.
Ooh.
Okay. I thought long and hard about this. He's my pick to be Rookie of the Year. I think with Julio leaving, there's never been a tight end selected that high. Similar to what I said about Carolina, Justin Fields was there, right? Do you make a move to trade up one slot to maybe get a Trey Lance or whatever it might be if you really like that quarterback? But the combination of Julio leaving, I think the Falcons are going to try to validate that selection. I think they're going to showcase him a lot, especially now with Julio leaving. I think if he is this generational talent that they're saying, I can see him catching 70 to 80 passes in this offense. They still have no running game. And I know
you hope they will because Arthur Smith. That's his
right. Arthur Smith coming in, who I would also say is a big addition in that division also. And look, we just talked about 75% CMC, Mike Davis coming over.
But you say no running game because you expect and understand so the Falcons are going to be trailing a lot of games.
Trailing a lot, and also like I don't see the Falcons being a ground and pound team since like Michael Turner.
Right, but they could have, like I'm saying, they could morph in because Arthur Smith, I know a lot of his principles are running away. And this wasn't just a Derrick Henry effect. Like I've listened to him in interviews, like he genuinely wants to run the ball.
Right.
So I do think there will be some commitment. My issue is I just don't see them being competitive as much.
So a lot of times you're gonna have to throw from behind. So I think Kyle Pitts is already, by a lot of people whose opinion I trust in the football world, there's a top 5 tight end in the league coming into it. And also, if you look at Jonnu Smith, how he played in that system with the Titans, and now even more pass heavy, I think he's going to have a monster year, man. And I think it's more so the organization wanting to validate that we made the right selection. He's the best player in this draft outside of Trevor Lawrence, but skill position-wise, generational talent. I hate that word, too, because like every year it's like generational talent is supposed to mean that for the next 20 years we're not going to see a guy like that. Every year it's a fucking generational talent. Generational wide receiver, corner, and all that. Saquon Barkley, generational talent. Fucking, it's 2 season-altering injuries in back-to-back years. So Kyle Pitts, he's 8-1. He is my favorite bet to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's not my pick, like gun to my head, to be the Offensive Player of the Year. The more I talk about it, I love his odds and I love the spot that he's in. I like Najee Harris when he was 20-1. Now he's only behind Trevor Lawrence. So that's a situation where it's like I like the player, but the odds.
That situation, that Pittsburgh offensive line.
If that offensive line is a little shaky, I'm with you on that. Yeah. So that's the player to watch for me in that division.
Yeah, I think they're gonna use a lot of 12 formation because they still have one more year of Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst, he's in a contract year, so I think you're gonna see Arthur Smith try to create mismatches with Pitts and Hurst. So that's something to look at. But I like the pick. It caught me off guard. Did not expect that.
Kyle Pitts, baby, 8-1. I've already bet you. I was in Atlantic City last weekend, so please be gentle. Alan, where can they find you if they want to contact you?
Alan Sturk, ALLENSTRK.
At the Lamb Show, as you can find me. At Veterans Minimum, as you can find everything for this show.